Okay, we're back with continuing our conversation with Bill Cavanaugh from USModular, and we're talking about modular construction, and he was laying out how USModular can help you from your dream of doing an ADU or custom home all the way through construction, and giving us some cost tips. And right now we're going to go further into that conversation. One thing I wanted to ask, because we've had people buying park models, or we have ADUs, and then some of them are park models, and sometimes they're priced cheaper, and we have, people kind of do-it-yourselfers going around, and they buy a park model, go to put it on their lot, and find out it's not permitted by their city and that type of thing. So again, benefit of having a one-stop shop is that they can come to you first, and we'll know all that stuff
Right.
up front. Secondly, can you tell us a little bit about the difference between park models and, say, manufactured prefab and modular?
Sure. Again, in the industry, there's a lot of terms that are thrown around: prefabricated, modular, tiny homes, park models, ADUs. A tiny home is a park model, and a park model is actually built to the RV code.
Okay.
And the RV code, although a park model looks like a home because it does not have an engine, it doesn't self-propel, it's designed originally for RV parks or mobile home parks. You can't be up, you have to be 400 square feet or less for a park model. They're cute little homes. One of the issues is, in the state of California, a park model, a tiny home, an RV is not designed as a full-time residence. It's designed as a temporary residence, and the state law doesn't allow you to live in one of those for more than 30 days. So even if you're in an RV park or a mobile home park, you're in theory supposed to check out and sign out, and so the state could come in and see that you didn't live in that thing year-round. There are two cities in Southern California that I'm aware of, and there's probably 5 or 6 in the state that does allow a tiny home / park model to be used as an accessory dwelling unit legally. That's Los Angeles and San Diego. Cost-wise, your price at the end of the day is going to be about the same as if you built a similar square foot manufactured home. So if you're in the Inland Empire and you like that 400 square foot or smaller space, which is going to be on the lower end of the pricing spectrum, I would recommend going with a prefabricated manufactured home as an accessory dwelling unit because it's legal.
Okay.
Now, at some point, I think more and more cities will allow the park models, but there's just more options right now, and it's an easier process. And as Sharon alluded to, a lot of times when we get involved in a project, as Sharon does, she's going to do a site assessment, a site evaluation to make sure, one, will an accessory dwelling unit fit on your property? Do you have enough land? Do you have space to meet the setbacks that are required by the local and the state jurisdictions? And that's a very important part, because a lot of times, I just was on a site the other day, and the backyard was on a pretty significant hillside.
Mm.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to do something there. They're better off doing maybe a garage conversion. But for the most part, we'll give you an idea, and we can do, and Sharon's got some great technology and software where she can actually map out a site and show you what would fit in your backyard or on your side yard, and what would fit, and then that guides you toward what is my price point that will fit in that space, and then we could look at that together, and see can I roll that unit in the back if we're doing a prefabricated construction, and a lot of times I don't have access to the backyard because of the configuration of the home, so we'll have to use a crane to crane those sections of home into the backyard, which is not, it's a number, but it's not a deal breaker in
Right.
most of the cases. So we have to look at that, and there are some moving parts and some factors there, like utility lines or trees that we have to make sure that will fit. So our goal always is to work with the client, with Sharon and her software, and make sure before anybody commits financially or gets too far down the tracks, does this fit physically? And if it fits physically, then we have to look at budget-wise? Does it fit budget-wise?
Exactly.
And if it does, we check those two boxes, then we could take to the next step. Now let's get into what specific model do you want, what amenities do you want, and then what are the timelines that we need to do to get this project in.
Yeah, that sounds great. And the software, that I utilize under ADU Advantage, I just believe a picture is worth 1,000 words. And
Sure.
so what we're able to do is to pull up any property within the state of California and actually put a ADU floor plan there. And, if you book a call with me, then we can go through where you want to position it, where you want the door opening, if you have some other amenities you want to add to the backyard or that type of thing. And so when you go out to have further conversations with contractors, developers, or the city and the county, you have something tangible that we can look at, and it's not just in your head trying to use the right words at the counter, because that makes a difference.
Sure.
Like, I talk to people, they go down to the city and they're trying to do it themselves, and they're asking certain questions and they get an answer, and it's like, no, that's not consistent with the law.
Sure.
And they said that because you used the wrong term. And so we're here to help them, but that is one great help that way.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, one of the things, we have a staff that full-time all they do is deal with the cities for permits. I mean, ADU laws were enacted by the state of California to make this a simple project and simple process. Unfortunately, that memo doesn't appear to have gotten to the local building departments because it's not a simple process.
Exactly.
There's a lot of moving parts. There's typically 4, 5, 6 different departments within the building department that you have to deal with. As Sharon mentioned, you have to use the right language. You have to know what you're dealing with. And as a one-stop shop, we assume all that responsibility. We talk to the building departments. We work with the public works departments. We work with the utility companies. So we answer all of their questions. We design the package for submittal to get an approval as fast as possible. So there are people that try to do it themselves, and they get very frustrated because, one, now even with COVID being somewhat over, there's still a lot of departments that you can't talk to. You have to try to
Exactly.
do things online, which is very complicated. You have to have drawings that match their format. You have to have terminology that matches their format. So it's something that we've learned over the last, with these ADUs over the last several years. And again, we have a full-time staff that all they do is deal with the building departments, and it keeps them busy 8 to 10 hours a day pushing permits.
Exactly. Because with the law, I mean, we have the goal, we have the need, for housing. And basically, as I said earlier, to me, it was like a call for all hands on deck. If you have the land and you have the desire to help increase our inventory, here's a way to make it easier, alleviating some of the impact fees if it's less than 750 square feet and so forth. But there's a gap between that and understanding what needs to be done and to walk it out. And so as an ADU consultant, that's where I come in, to hold the hand, because there's so many moving parts. And like you said earlier, we have to have the right team. And so to empower that homeowner, because a lot of us have never built or developed anything before. And I reflect back on when my husband and I bought our a new home, right, from the stick in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And going down and losing the papers and
Sure.
the things they did over and over again, and in moving in with the relatives that's supposed to be in like 60 days so we could, move into the new house,
Right.
and turns out to be almost 6 months because of
Right.
delays. And that was with a major contractor, home developer that had the infrastructure, that had all the plans, and still couldn't keep the timeline. And so now you're trying to do this on a smaller scale in your backyard, and you need experts. And so there are people out here to hold your hand and walk you through and introduce you to people like USModular to help you get it done.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Is Sharon mentioned the 750 square feet. There are there's a lot of rules out there that unless you do this on a daily basis, you're probably not going to be aware of. So it helps having a consultant, helps having a contractor that does this on a full-time basis. Because not only, a lot of people have, I forget, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, right? I want this 1,200 square foot, 3-bedroom ADU in my backyard. Well, does it fit?
Exactly.
And does it fit your budget? And a lot of times it doesn't, right? It doesn't
Right.
physically fit, financially it doesn't fit. So working with a consultant like Sharon is going to help you massage that where you say, here's where we need to be. And the little rules like the 750 square foot rule is a significant number, because we just finished a project where initially they were going to build an 800 square foot ADU down in San Diego County, and the development fees were close to $15,000.
Exactly.
And when we shrunk that to 748 square feet, that $15,000 went away.
Exactly.
So that's a $15,000 swing by losing, a couple of feet here and there.
Yeah.
So those are things, our goal always is, and in talking with Sharon, the goal is trying to get that client the right product at the right price, and being your advocate. Because a lot of times if you don't have an advocate, you're going to get put at the bottom of the pile. You're not going to get the right answers, and it helps to have somebody that's pushing for you on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's very well said, and very much needed. So we're going to take another break. This is Dr. Sharon Barnes here with the International Wealth Builders Radio Show, talking to Bill Cavanaugh with the USModular about modular construction. So stay with us. We have more great information coming after the break.